Monday Night Lights.
What?
Monday Night Lights, folks.
Monday Night Lights. How's it going? Oh, boy.
Oh,
hey,
my
bud.
God. All right. What's up, Mr. Rob? I don't know. It's kind of a crazy day. Maybe we'll have some people join us. Maybe not. But
your shirt always trips me out because I'm always like, why is he wearing his necklace on the outside of his shirt? And I'm like, oh, yeah, right.
And it stops like right here at the collar.
Right. Yeah. Why wouldn't they print it all the way up? It seems kind of bizarre, right?
Yeah. It always throws me off too when I look in the mirror. I'm like, what is this thing here?
Hey, can I tell you something? Hey, Lewis, I told you a couple weeks ago that I had ordered a new phone, and so it's
a new iPhone, right?
Yeah. So my son got his, my wife got hers on the weekend. Mine's still about another week and a bit away, but I'm now at the point, John, where I'm going absolutely like crazy and purchasing like a whole bunch of peripherals for this.
Yeah. Oh man, I was notorious. The first kind of real iPhone I got, I probably have 10 different cases for it. Because you try one out, it's like doesn't quite work. You're like, oh, let me try this other one out, and then it just kind of stacks up, and you get like 10 cases deep into a phone that probably will break in 2 years. I don't know.
Well, I'm getting like a bunch of different MagSafe chargers and MagSafe stands and cases, and now I gotta buy, because Apple doesn't include the power bricks anymore, but they're all USB-C. So now I gotta buy like USB-C bricks, and I'm buying like, it's just so stupid, right? Like I'm just
so you've moved from the lightning cable on. Everybody in the house is moving on to the next cable, I guess.
Well, no, it's still lightning cable, but it's USB-C.
Oh yeah, the other end. Yeah, the other end.
Yeah, and so I got to get all new. And it's just like, I'm buying. Like I bought the MagSafe battery pack, and people are like, "Why would you do that?" I'm like, "Well, you could use it as a charger. Plus, when I go away and over holidays or whatever, I like to have an extra battery, to slap like." But it's just stupid. Like, do I really need, like, if I parse out the amount of money I've spent, and then like the MagSafe battery in Canada is like $120, but do I really need a battery pack to juice up? Like, anyway.
You say that until the power goes out, and you are like left out for dead.
Exactly.
Where do I charge it? I've a number of people come into the store and go, "Hey, you got a charger for it?" It's always an obscure phone. It's never an iPhone. It's never a regular phone. It's always something weird. And it's like, I need this weird cable. I'm like, I don't have that.
There's 20 pin.
Yeah. I'm like, what is this thing? I'm like, I don't even recognize that port. You're on your own, buddy. So hopefully you can wirelessly charge that thing or whatever.
Yeah, Lewis is like, you could have done without the MagSafe. Yeah. You're right. You're probably right.
Yep.
You're right. And I do have Q1 chargers all over the house, but guess what? I'm an idiot. And I have an addictive personality.
You buy into the hype. You buy into the hype. You get the accessories, all that kind of stuff. Like I went through a phase where I got a little GoPro. You buy like all the attachments. Keep in mind, folks, I don't do sports. So I'm like buying these attachments. You stick it on your helmet. These like arms. I'm like buying these suction cups. I'm like, I'm going to stick it on my car. I'm not going to stick it on the outside of my car and drive to work and back. Who's going to watch that footage ever in life? But anyways, you get into that. What's up, Fraser? But yeah, we're just talking about silly things we buy. But, hey, doesn't it feel good, though, Rob, when you press that little, like, buy button and then it shows up in the mail and you're like...
Yeah, it does. And then, what doesn't feel good is the Visa bill afterwards. And I'm looking at my desk full of shit. And I'm like, what did I do?
Yeah. Oh, man. You'll never regret, though, Rob. Stopping by Heroes World. We got a lot of fun stuff. So I posted up all the new comics. I got back to it. Sorry, I missed like 2 or 3 weeks, but the new comic book list is up there, including the new Predator #3, which is this book has been catching fire. It's been doing really well. This is a girl whose family was killed by predators, and now she is out hunting them. So please check that out. If you're not following us on the social medias, Heroes World Online, Instagram, Facebook, and we can answer any of the messages you send us there. A lot of people have inquiries about specific products or things that they see online. Send me the link and I'll see if I can get it for you. And then I did want to show these off, Rob. I don't know if you read. Whoops. I'm running off a touchpad today. It's really, I don't know if you recognize any of these guys here.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
From Mecca. Yeah.
I do. That's the Phantom.
Yeah.
The guy in the middle, is that supposed to be Flash Gordon?
Yeah, that is Flash Gordon. Yeah.
Okay, and then that must be Ming the Merciless.
Yeah, new NECA line of I guess they're like old school heroes. They look pretty cool. Very nice paint apps, and they extremely muscular, but very, very cool figures. We just got a restock of them in. They did really well. Everybody loves the Phantom out of these ones, Rob. I don't know. You think it's because of that Billy Zane movie, or you think he was just a
No.
more popular character?
I just think it looks the coolest out of these three.
I don't know. Was this Ming guy? Was he actually Asian? Do you remember from the movie, or was it like
Okay,
a
well,
Chinese face guy, like, yellow face? Were they doing yellow face?
Yeah, it was a cultural mishandling. How's that?
Yeah. Oh, perfect. You're a genius,
Yeah,
Rob.
it was not good. But I actually, you know what, John? I remember quite enjoying Billy Zane's The Phantom. I almost like. I mean, I remember thinking, oh, this is kind of cheesy, but it actually wasn't that bad. Out of those like post Batman 89 movies, I actually thought I enjoy, if I remember correctly, I enjoyed The Phantom more than I enjoyed like Dick Tracy or some of the other ones. So I don't know, man. We got to go back.
I remember it being watchable, but not being good. We would have one copy. We had one copy at our store, Rob, in the video store, and only one copy, and it would constantly be out. People were in the mood for those superhero movies, so yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, The Phantom just does really well. So shout outs to that.
Lewis puts, he says, like Dr. No, referring to Ming the Merciless and the cultural whatever my fancy word was.
Yeah. You forgot it already. You came up with the greatest definition, and you've already forgotten it.
But yeah, he's right. Listen, I'm out of. We don't need to get into it, but you can go through lots of film history and see, lots of misrepresentations of different cultures as perpetrated by Caucasian people to look like others. So it was not. It was not a good time, and does not hold up well as a medium. So.
Yeah. Hopefully one day those will all be pushed forward, and there'll be new films to take its place, so you won't have to go and watch Short Circuit and things like that.
Oh yeah. That one, I still love the fact that blew your mind, man.
That I had no idea, folks. If you haven't watched Short Circuit 1 and 2, there's a character in there that I thought was a particular race for the longest time. And Rob blew my mind. He goes, "Hey, you know that guy from I don't know where he's from, like the Blacklist. He's from he was on Friends. He was everywhere." And he's like, "That's the guy who plays that guy." I'm like, "Oh my God, what happened to my childhood?" I don't know. I have to talk to someone, because I saw some of the comments. Some people actually think it's hilarious of that culture, but it seems like not quite right. But thanks everybody for joining us. This is the Sidekick Show. We are going to be talking about our specific horror movie of the day later on, which is what are we on now? Multiverse of Madness, right, Rob?
Yeah, we're halfway through, buddy. We're halfway through. I think we've had some interesting feedback, mostly being negative about our picks this year. We're gonna have to go back to more horror movies. And you know what? I owe you an apology, because while we were like trying to find movies in which to put together for this list, you came up with a whole bunch. And for some, you had suggested the original Hellraiser, and I was in your original text. You put in brackets Prime, and I guess my brain just erased that from the text, and I was like, it's not streaming anywhere. And last night, I was flipping through trying to find something to watch, and I was on Prime, and I was like, Hellraiser. And I was like, they have all of them? And I messaged you, I'm like, dude, Prime has all the Hellraisers. And you're like, yeah, I know.
I specifically said I've never seen it, too. So, okay, so we'll make the pledge right now, Rob. If we're still doing this next year, we're doing scary movies. We're going to go scary movies, right? We'll go scary movies. And we will disregard whether they're available on streaming or not. We will force everybody to buy them. So hit us up with your actually like legit scary movies, and we'll go that route next time. But I think we're gonna have fun watching the rest of these movies, and a lot of the times we get talking about other things as well. So Rob, I don't think I got to chat with you much over. Like we have a group chat and stuff like that. I had a pretty busy weekend, but I'm wondering, and you folks in the chat, how was your weekend? What did you guys get up to? What did you watch? What's new? Did you enjoy that She-Hulk finale? We do have a couple videos available. Check out our feed. But Rob, what did you get up to this weekend?
Well, I'm going to be very quick, because you have a much more interesting weekend story, I'm sure, to share. But well, you had a special visitor at the store. But I will say this: 2 things I watched on the weekend, John. The first thing I watched was Shark Tank on Friday night. Because
is it new? Oh yeah, your buddy was
last week. One of my best friends, Winston, he has a company. This is one of the smartest guys I've ever met in my life. I've had the pleasure of knowing him now well over 20 years. He had, long story short, moved down to the US, was hired by Google, and left Google right at the beginning of the pandemic, John. At the very beginning of the pandemic.
Right at the beginning, I'm out.
And he started up his own company called Whoosh Air and has kind of reinvented HVAC filters as we know it, and was featured on Shark Tank, and he scored a deal with Kevin O'Leary, one of the probably the most hated shark that there is.
He's great.
It was really cool to kind of watch him out there, to watch him do this really like over the top pitch that is completely not his general personality, but he had to like oversell stuff because it's television.
Yeah, it's reality TV. You have to amp it up. I've got a story
Winston was like, he comes in, he goes, "Welcome to Whoosh." Like I was like, "What is happening? This is not like, he was like Song and Dance Man is Danny Kaye." I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but I will say, man, this is one of the smartest guys in the world that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. So I was very happy to see that, and really happy for Winston and Whoosh Air to make a deal with Shark Tank. Also, John, I saw a movie that I wish had whooshed off of out of my brain. I went and saw Halloween Ends last night with my son. So I'm just gonna say this, John, and for all those listening.
Wait. Is it in continuity? Is it a reboot? Like, or is
no? This is the third of the trilogy, the conclusion of this new trilogy,
newer version.
Written by Danny McBride and David Gordon Green, directed by David Gordon, all three movies. You know, so what they've done essentially, is that in 2018, Halloween comes out. Essentially, it picks up right from Halloween 2, way back in the 70s. Everything else is non-canon. Okay, so now it goes Halloween 2, Halloween 2, and then 2018 Halloween Kills, which came out last year, even though it should have been 2020 because of the pandemic, and then finished off with this year's Halloween Ends. Probably the worst conclusion to a trilogy in the history of film. Probably one of the worst horror movies I have ever seen, because it's not scary. It is like, it's atrocious. Do not go see, like, you know, I don't like shitting on stuff because people work hard and a lot of effort went into making these movies. But I'm going to tell you right now,
there's a lot of parts. There's a lot of gears. A lot of people working in this background.
It is more of a drama of like a weird teen angst, finding yourself. What does violence do to the human psyche drama than it is anything else? And I wanted to rip my hair out. The best part of this movie, John, is within the last 5 minutes, there's a bunch of teenagers the entire movie who are chatting away and just being general dicks. Don't be a dick at the theater. Just watch the movie. But I guess they were throwing shit, right? And within the last 5 minutes of this movie, where I'm like pulling my eyelids off of my own face, I heard this guy say, "I'm going to find out who it was who threw this popcorn throughout this movie. I'm going to ruin you like you ruined the movie." And I was like, finally, some violence. I want to see this happen. So nobody got punched, but I was close to punching myself in the face for having spent money. So
you could do the Fight Club thing in the parking lot.
I was doing the Doctor Strange pizza guy thing. So at any rate, if you ever have any inclination to go see Halloween Ends, don't.
Are the other two, like, were they decent? Is that what led you to, like,
the first one is
I'm gonna go see
really
this
cool.
in theaters, right?
Yeah, no, the first one's actually really, really cool. It's a really cool, like, take on the whole thing and a revisiting of this iconic property. And then last year, the Halloween Kills was like, but this one is literally a flaming bag of shit. So, by the way, John, Halloween, it stars Michael Myers. Michael Myers doesn't show up. It's a 2-hour movie. He doesn't show up until the last maybe 20 minutes.
So this is so now we're traveling back, like, whereas we would get these legacy sequels and it feels like they would put a lot into it. Maybe we're getting back to that territory of them basically phoning it in, right? Some of these movies or whatever licenses or franchises getting later and later in, getting lazier and lazier and lazier, right? Like it's horrible. That sucks.
I'm hoping that it's redeemed this Friday when I go check out Black Adam. But we'll see.
Yeah. Fingers crossed for Black Adam. All right.
All right,
Okay.
but how about you? Tell me about like your weekend was way more important. I think you guys had a really cool special visitor to the store that you posted on socials.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if I should get to that first or last. I guess.
Yeah, you know what? Get to it last. Let's just tease. Let's tease the audience.
Yeah. Let's get to it last. So I did watch. There's a new documentary. I know you're a big fan of documentaries, Rob, but on Crave there's the Jeremy Lin documentary, which is 38 in the Garden or whatever it's called. It's pretty short. I feel like it's less than an hour. But if you guys, even if you're not Jeremy Lin fans, you should definitely check it out and listen to his story, what it was like for him. And he does go through a lot of the things we were just talking about, which is Asians in the mainstream and all that kind of stuff, like not having a representation. And they're talking about all kinds of fun stuff that happened around that era where he basically stepped in from being this benched nobody and turned into Linsanity. So it was really cool. A lot of guest speakers on there, a lot of comedians jumping in and getting their input. So definitely check that out on Crave. I am watching American Gigolo still. It's probably my favorite show right now. It's amazing, Rob. I don't know when you're going to get to it. I don't know if you're waiting for the end of all the ones to get there. But I also finished off Ozark, which I believe you finished off a while ago.
Yeah.
And wow. I thought it was. We're not going to drop any spoilers, but it was okay.
Okay. All
Rob,
right.
what was your feeling? Yeah, we didn't really talk about it. I feel like they took a break in the middle of the season and then dropped another 7 or whatever episodes after. Yeah. And it really destroyed the momentum on it. And for me, it felt really rushed. So we're talking about Ozark, folks, and this was like Netflix's like biggest show, I think, at some point. Multiple Emmy nominations.
Before Stranger Things, yeah.
All kinds of crazy hype around it, and I feel like that was not living up to it. I don't know if I'm ever going to watch the show again because the ending was it's okay. Like it's okay to. It's like I watched. I didn't think it was total trash, but I was just kind of like it's okay. So what do you?
I liked it. I actually really liked it. I agree with the break. I agree with the break. Definitely added to a little bit of lost momentum. Because it kind of ended as if it was a season finale cliffhanger, but then you knew like 2 months later the rest of the shows were going to drop. So it was kind of weird, but we know that that's mostly due to COVID filming and restrictions. They did the same thing with Stranger Things, right? But I really enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed it more than I expected to. I thought that it was a really good way to tie up that series. So,
yeah, I think I would have enjoyed it more if they were tied together and I got to watch them all in succession, because that mid-season break ends on a hell of a crazy event that happens, very tense-filled. And then the second part, it kind of doesn't have that same magic. It feels like it probably should have been 2 episodes less. They were filling time and things seem to kind of just start to wrap up. So anyways, I just wanted to shout out Ozark because I feel like no one really talked about it because of the break and then it end. So Netflix, one of Netflix's biggest shows end and nobody says nothing about it. So I don't know. It felt kind of weird. I guess maybe too many content dropped. So anyways, shout out to that. Let's push that aside. So we did have a very cool visitor at the shop. I'll throw up a quick picture. Oh, do I have a picture? I think I have a picture. But yeah, I finally got a picture with her, with Miss Marvel herself and Mon Vanelli. And it was very cool to see her. She stopped by during her very busy schedule to come visit us and get some comic books. Yes, she 100% reads comic books, folks. So it was really cool. I felt actually bad posting the picture because I didn't want to give away her, if that's her like low-key outfit or whatever. I kind of didn't want to give it away, but I did want to share that she is absolutely still the sweetest girl on the planet. I can't believe she's an absolute superstar. And she is still super kind of humble and almost a little bit shy. You would never think when she's on those talk shows out there destroying it, that she is kind of just like, I was just like, you did an amazing job. And she's just kind of like, yeah, thank you. Like, but yeah, it was very cool to see that. And it's very fun to be a tiny part of her journey.
So a couple questions. One, did you tell her about this our show that we are always hyping it up?
No.
Okay, perfect. 2, what comics did she grab?
I don't want to give away anything like that. So that
okay. How about this? Is it a mix of different company stuff, or is it?
Yeah, it was some stuff that Andre had recommended, I believe.
Okay,
So
cool.
Andre really got to get a good chat with her. So I don't know what
Yeah.
they're cooking up and things like that, but it was just really fun to kind of see her and be able to say that her work was amazing. So
Cool.
shout outs to her, and I can't wait to see what she does next.
Is she like floppies, or is she getting like the collected editions?
She gets whatever. She's a true comic fan. She used to. I'll give away the story from before. Is she would come in after school or during her lunch and come in and rifle through back issues. It was a really sweet spot in time where kids were getting into random floppies, almost like you watch those movies. They go to the record store, flipping through a bunch of old records, and they grab a random old record. It was like that.
It was like our friend Joey pulling out a Hall & Oates record, going,
Hey! Shout out to Hall & Oates.
Shout out to Joey. That's anyways. Cool. That's cool. I listen, man. I probably would have. I've been fortunate enough to have interacted with many of celebrity or whatever through my life and history in media. So, but I would still fan out and geek out with her for that. So that would have been pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. So shout out to that. Let's check in quickly. I think a couple people had mentioned. Fraser said he stayed home sick. So
no!
Hopefully you're feeling better, Fraser. And he watched She-Hulk and Rings of Power. I heard good things about Rings of Power finale.
I'm hearing great things about it. Yeah. My feelings, John. I've reiterated numerous times on our shows here. Wasn't a big fan of that first episode. The second episode, I dialed out. I will probably. Over the winter, I will binge this entire series because I've heard such great things about it. So I will persevere and rewatch the first 2 episodes. I'll watch the whole season.
Why don't you just start from 2 and go?
No. I don't think you know what. I don't really remember all the bullshit that happened.
I would read a summary, but I have heard from several people. Fraser also, Lewis also says the same thing. He watched She-Hulk, Rings of Power, and he's adding on that he's continuing Lower Decks, which I know Fraser is not a fan of, and building a bunch of Legos. So yeah, shout out to Legos. Great way to pass the time. And then Nerd Emperor did say he saw Black Adam, and he said it's overhyped. So we'll see. We'll see what the verdict is when we go check it out. So
have you got your tickets yet?
I think I did. I think I'm going to see it maybe on a random Thursday or something. I don't remember anymore. Perfect. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Right. Maybe there'll be a whole bunch of reviews that drop. Like it's next week, right?
No, it's this week.
It's this week?
It's this Friday. I'm going on Friday. Yeah. Oh, 20. Dude, the 21st is this Friday. How crazy is that?
What the hell happened to the month?
Yeah, I don't know.
The month is gone.
I know. My daughter's like, hey, are we going to decorate for Halloween? And I was like, I'm like,
it's already gone. Oh, my goodness. All right. Thank you, everybody, for sharing your weekend with us. If you are watching this on the replay, definitely join us on the live show every Monday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can get in on the chat. We'd love to hear what you guys are up to on your weekends and what shows you're enjoying or what shows you're disliking, and whatever movie we happen to be talking about. So we just like to hang out with y'all. So please join us on that. But let me kick it to Rob for Z News. Yeah, is there any news today? I know it's been
there's a little bit. I didn't write anything down. Let's just throw the photos up, John. I'm going to wing it based on the photo.
Okay.
Hey, this is your buddy, John.
This is my guy.
This is your guy, Tommy Mapother, William, Tom Cruise. Hey, John. I know you're a big fan of Tom Cruise. You're a big fan of Tom Cruise in jets. Are you going to be a big fan of Tom Cruise in space? Because this fine young fella at the age of 62. Will be the first civilian to do a spacewalk outside of the International Space Station, as he will be filming a movie in space, literally in space, for Universal Pictures and director Doug Liman, who is the director of the Bourne, the second movie, the Bourne, whatever it was, and the second Bourne movie.
Bourne 2, Judgment Day. I think it's Legacy. I want to say it's Legacy.
That was the third one. I don't know. The Bourne Ultimatum.
No, Ultimatum.
Bourne Identity, the Bourne Ultimatum, the Bourne something or other. Who cares?
Supremacy.
At any rate,
was one of them.
Doug Liman's the director, and also the director of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And so Tommy here is going to be doing a live spacewalk for Universal. They're saying it's about a $200 million movie. They'll blast him up into space, and then he's going to do his thing out in space. I mean, at this point, sure, why not? He's hung on to the side of a plane. He's he's hung onto the side of the tallest building in the world. He's hung on to Katie Holmes. What else is there left? He's hung on to Nicole Kidman. What else is there to do, John? I have no idea.
Yeah, so he's held his breath underwater for like 10 minutes or some ridiculous thing like that, too.
Yeah, sure. Encase him in ice, like David
Blaine.
Like David Blaine. So, John, are you excited to see Tom Cruise in space? Is this? I mean, we've seen him in race cars. We've seen him in fighter jets. Now he'll be up in spaceships. Are you hyped for this?
I would have preferred Days of Thunder, legacy remake along the lines of Maverick or something along those lines.
Right.
I guess if any star is going to go to space, Tom Cruise makes sense. I worry for his safety, so hopefully he has a safe trip.
Isn't listen, if something was to happen, what a way to go, right? Like you're in your 60s.
And if anything does happen to Tom Cruise when he's doing his thing, I think this is what he lives for, I think, to make movies and do this kind of stuff. So we're not trying to say anything should happen to him. I hope him comes back in one piece. But it's crazy. This guy has to be so authentic that he has to now go to space to achieve the next level of authenticity. Don't some people debate whether that, landing on the moon tape is actually like legit, Rob?
Yeah, they're called like, lunatics, John.
It's on like a sound stage or something like that.
Or maybe they're called lunar ticks. I don't know. But they're idiots. We're not giving them any weight. All right, let's move on to the next story.
Yeah.
Throw up your photo, John. Oh, all right. Here we are. Netflix, John. Netflix just announced this past week that they are now adding a ad included tier for $5.99 that will roll out on November the 1st. So the regular Netflix subscription is what they say. They say it's not $10 a month. Bullshit. Nobody pays $10 a month Netflix. On average, we're all paying the $21 or $22 in Canada now per month to give you the best streaming on multiple devices throughout your house. But they're saying, hey, we're, as we talked about last year, John, Netflix have lost a lot of subscribers. And so they're like, we need to do something to get the subscribers back. John, take me off this big screen here. I'm way too fat looking on the face. And so they're releasing this $5.99 full of ads. There'll be ads at the beginning of your movie, to be ads throughout the show or the movie, and then ads towards the end, running about 15 to 20 seconds in length. You're looking at about 8 to 9 minutes of ads per hour. John, this is actually called network television.
Yeah.
Netflix is reverting back to the one thing that it said that they were going to destroy. But let me ask you, with all of the streaming services that we have, with everything else going on, is this something that would interest you, this $5.99 Netflix subscription? Would you watch ads? With the caveat, John, that not all of their shows and movies will be available for that tier subscription. And you can't download your movies. Is your $6 a month, is it worth it for you?
I think so. With all these streaming services going on now, adding an extra option, obviously you can just continue to pay for the regular Netflix you have right now, right? But
$20, $22 a month.
Yeah. If you want to save a significant amount, we already I'm sure nobody actually has YouTube Premium, but you watch YouTube and there's a bunch of ads. You're watching YouTube right now, watching us on YouTube. And maybe there was an ad before this. Maybe there's an ad in the middle. Maybe there's an ad after. It would be pretty annoying though if you fire up a movie on Netflix and there's a movie trailer in the middle. I have seen this formula on the anime site Crunchyroll, I think.
Crunchyroll, yeah.
And they go crazy. There's so many ads that it's almost not worth watching. If you said 9 minutes of ads within the hour, yeah, I guess I guess that's basically TV. So I think it's a little less than TV. I feel like for a 20-minute show, you're almost 10 minutes in ads, right? Or maybe 5 minutes. I don't know.
For a 1 hour show, it's 16. It's 14 to 60 minutes of ads for a 1 hour show.
So we're going back to that formula, but at least you're getting to pick what you want to choose. Whereas channel surfing back in the day, folks, first world problems. How many times were you flipping channels hoping you would catch something at the beginning or a part that
but you won't be able to fast forward these ads. Here's what I don't understand, John. So obviously not all of their content will be available to if you're on this lower streaming. Why not though do a special Netflix subscription for $6 of only Netflix original movies and TV shows. So that way it doesn't have those licensed movies and shows that people like to watch, like the Seinfelds or whatever else that you would watch, you know, Schitt's Creek and all other stuff. If it was just Netflix original movies and television shows, would that be more appealing than this ad tier?
I don't know. I don't know who makes money in that situation, Rob, because Netflix has already paid for all those movies. I guess you're paying a lower amount to have access to the original Netflix content, which in theory is more money directly into Netflix pockets. So they don't have to pay out to, Seinfeld or Friends or whoever is hosting. It's an interesting concept. And I think we're going to get there because how many streaming services are there, Rob? Like, I'm sure you're signed up to at least 5.
I have probably, a lot. I have all of them.
Yeah, I'm probably pretty deep in. And it depends on how they format it too. Like how anyone else on Crave that doesn't have the Star extension, how annoying is it to look and see the new releases and see a bunch of Stars TV shows on there and you click it and it says upgrade to Stars to get this show. I'm like, man, that's annoying. I was just planning to put my food down and watch this particular so-and-so. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be crazy. Yeah. So
yeah, Lewis says Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, Netflix, Crave. I have the same as Lewis, but then add in Paramount Plus and Apple TV Plus.
Yeah.
So
there's that new Charlie Hunnam show coming out on Apple TV, and I want to watch that, but I don't have an Apple TV Plus subscription, so it's like, now what happens? Maybe I would have watched it if there was a version available.
It is $6 a month. I will say it's not bad.
Yeah, but sometimes you tune into some of these streaming things, and there's nothing new. I don't know. I'm sure you guys all check your streaming once a week to see what's new, scroll through, see what you want to watch. And some of them don't have new stuff all the time. Disney Plus, it's getting crazy. So more affordable options, sure.
Lewis is like, why Paramount Plus and Apple TV Plus? I actually watch not a lot, but a decent amount of Apple TV Plus stuff because like For All Mankind is on there. I love that. Why Paramount Plus? Lewis, I couldn't. It was because the Halo show was coming out. I watched it. I hated it.
There's a bunch though. There's a bunch of stuff that I see.
And then John was like, "You gotta watch this Mayor of Kingstown." I'm like, "Ugh." And I liked it. And guess what? That new Stallone TV show with created by Tyler Sheridan is dropping in November. So I'm gonna watch that. So I don't know.
And like Michelle says, Apple TV has some, like, all these services seem to have at least a couple things that are good. Yeah. So they're going to get us. How far do you think we are from getting some type of weird third-party bundles, Rob? Like some other, tech savvy type or whatever company is like, oh, get a bundle, Netflix, blah, 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 all these things together for this price. And they somehow work out some deal with all those streaming services.
I don't think it'll happen.
No? You think it's not going to happen? All right.
No. No.
Would you rather just pay a la carte for everything you want to watch?
Yeah, well, it's getting to be too expensive. All right, next up. Oh, news today, John. Harrison Ford. We had talked about this rumor. We talked about that Harrison Ford was going to be announced taking over the role of General Thunderbolt Ross in the MCU. Because of the unfortunate and untimely passing of William Hurt, it was supposed to be announced at D23, but Kathleen Kennedy said, "Fuck no, we're keeping Harrison because of Indiana Jones 902. You're not taking him for Kevin Feige. You're not taking him for Marvel." So they kind of sat on it for, I guess it's been 7 weeks, or 6 weeks. And here he is now, though. This is not a live shot, but today it was announced.
He's holding incredibly still.
Yes.
He's still got it.
He's buffering. It was announced today that he is going to be part of Captain America New World Order. And then is expected to show up in some other capacity in other movies and TV shows for MCU. So Harrison Ford as your new General Thunderbolt Ross. Thoughts, John?
Yeah, I would love to see him play an old Captain America.
Okay.
But him playing Ross, it seems like a role that is fit for him. He could kind of do like an Air Force One type, I'm the president type feel to that.
Right.
Character.
Okay. Get off my plane.
Yeah. I'm down. If this means we see more Harrison Ford, and hopefully he gets to do some fun stuff, because I think he does dip into that comedy bag really well. And if anyone's going to write some good comedy for him, Marvel's probably going to do it. So yeah, sign me up.
I saw some people though tweeting like, "Oh, I can't wait for Harrison Ford to have to start answering questions. Oh, what other MCU projects are you on?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" Like, he's well known as being just like a grumpy curmudgeon guy and doesn't really give a lot in interviews. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. All right, let's hit to the next one. What else you got? Other breaking news, John, and we can actually is this the last news story that we have?
I don't know. You sent it to me. You tell me.
Well,
let me check. Hold on. Wait, no, that's the wrong button. This is your last news story. Yes.
Perfect. Okay. We can talk about this. Okay. So there was some news today out of the Hollywood Reporter, John. A fairly large story. Did you read it? I asked you to read it. Did you read it?
You did not ask me to read it, you liar.
I said you guys should read this. Did you read it?
You guys should read this. So this was in a group chat, correct?
Yeah. This is John saying no. All right. There was quite the article today in the Hollywood Reporter. It came out at about 6, 7 o'clock tonight. With respect to some moves that DC is making, or rumors regarding their film slate. I'm not going to get into the big spoilers, John, of what's happening on Black Adam. It's out there. We're not going to talk about it. Dwayne Johnson seems to be okay talking about it.
Yeah, what the F, dude? Spoilers.
But apparently somebody shows up in Black Adam, and please don't put it in the chat if you know. But somebody shows up in the Black Adam, and that is, I guess, a bit of fan service, which weirdly enough, we're going to talk about it again later tonight with Doctor Strange. But and that person or that character will have some new movies. Now, Dwayne Johnson essentially went around some of the executives at Warner DC, specifically Walter Hamada, who is actually out the door as of Friday, I believe, and to get this special cameo greenlit. That then goes on to say, and the reason why there's a James Gunn on there is that James Gunn, as we know, is going to be working on Peacemaker Season 2. He has another DC television property that he's going to be working on. A lot of people believe it is going to be an Amanda Waller show with Viola Davis reprising a role. However, the big news out of that is that James Gunn is also working on a very special top secret DC movie project. We know he directed Suicide Squad 2 years ago. What that new project may be, who knows? No idea. But Warner Brothers Discovery have put a lot of emphasis. I'm going to say this very quietly or very carefully. They put a lot of emphasis, John, on Superman, on Batman, and on The Flash, and Wonder Woman going forward. Wonder Woman 3, that script is pretty much done. I think there's going to be some announcements in the next couple of weeks per this story. Weirdly enough, The Flash, as we know, John, is coming out next June of 2023, but a sequel has already been written. I'm assuming that should
recast.
Yes. Yeah. That should things go well, the Flash sequel will be put into production following the supposed or hoped for success of Flash, obviously without Ezra Miller, or at least that's the assumption. And that Matt Reeves' Batman sequel is in the works. He's got that Penguin show coming out, but apparently he's working on a whole bunch of other Rogues Gallery projects, TV shows for HBO Max, including Scarecrow and Pigman. That's Professor Pig, I think is what it is, right? Sorry. So anyways, this is a pretty interestingly detailed article out of the Hollywood Reporter. I do like to throw that caution in the wind to say it could be all for naught and didn't age well type memes if things don't go well this weekend with Black Adam. But the assumption is that it will, and that we're going to see a whole bunch of new, I guess, course correction and movements in the DC front, and some announcements forthcoming in the next few weeks and months with respect to where they're going forward on some of these projects. So, John, let's go back then. Are you happy? There's a lot to take in. Are you happy about James Gunn taking over, doing another DC project? We know Peacemaker and all that. Is there one that you would specifically want him to do? And number two, what about all these other changes? Are you kind of hyped? Do you think that Warner Brothers Discovery is finally correcting, or are we just Lucy Charlie Browning with the football?
Yeah. Okay. So question number one, what else would I like to see him do? I know there is an idea of a Booster Gold Blue Beetle project floating about. So if he is somehow going to get on that, those two guys should definitely be in the comedy lane, along with Gunn's kind of typical genre. I really liked. We all liked Suicide Squad, right? The Suicide Squad. We all had a ton of fun with Peacemaker. So I would say almost stay in that lanes, and definitely use that John Cena, who I think is underrated as an action comedy star. So I would like to see more of that. And then in regards to all these changes, shakeups, and all these things happening, finally let some things happen. Shake things up. You're recasting, you're bringing out new stuff. Like you stumbled on a bunch of stuff. Keep it rolling. We've got the joke here. Michelle says they need to finish working on that script for Wonder Woman 2. Yeah, they got to finish that thing off, or erase it from history somehow. And to do that, you get the next project out and you redeem yourself instead of just.
Let me ask you this though: would you like to see James Gunn take on a more mainstream project, say Superman, or something obscure like maybe a Justice League Dark?
I don't know if I would want him on a Superman, but maybe it's what the world needs to add a little something different to this character to generate more mass appeal. They definitely couldn't put him on a Batman. They've created too much of the I'm the Night type of atmosphere, and
Matt Reeves is doing well with that.
So. Yeah, the Matt Reeves horror slant, like that ship is going perfectly well. So yeah, maybe he deserves a shot at Superman. I want to say no, because I would like a proper Superman along the lines of Man of Steel, but maybe leveled up to a little bit more Superman-y, maybe a little bit lighter. I don't know if I would go quite as light as James Gunn, but we'll in the comedy realm. Speaking of comedy realm, but Rob, what about you, Rob? You're the DC. You used to be the DC guy. I feel like all this crap that's happened is beating you up a little bit. Yeah. And not since the Snyder Cut came out.
I feel so sad.
Have you had anything to really be like everything you've talked about? You've always had to add the caveat of, well, there was this time I was really hyped about Wonder Woman and it didn't work out. There was this time I was really hyped about, Justice League and it didn't work out. There was this time I was really, really hyped about The Flash, and I don't know what to say about that. I don't know if you can support it anymore until some more things come to light. But Rob, how are you feeling as a DC guy?
I don't know. Again, you know what? It could all be for naught. This whole story could mean shit next Tuesday. Right? That's the reality. Black Adam could bomb. I don't think it will, but it could. You never know. I don't know what the returns need to be for them to go forward. Dwayne Johnson appears and has made it very clear, including an article interview he did yesterday or today. He wants to be helping, steer the DC ship going forward. Okay. I'm hoping that they follow through with some of these things. I think they have to clean up, polish up what they've got, and go forward on stuff. I want there to be more DC content. I want there to be good DC content. With respect to James Gunn, yes, part of me would love to see him helm a Superman movie, because I just want another Superman movie. But that being said, like, Justice League Dark would be pretty cool, but like even like a Swamp Thing, like he's so good with those obscure horror type stuff, right? Like you try to think of, like, I don't want it to be like Batmite. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't want it to be like wasted on Mr. Mistleplex. I want it to be like like a Swamp Thing, like a really, Jason Fabok and Tom King did a really cool Swamp Thing special a few years ago. I don't know if you remember that one. It was the white cover, Swamp Thing finding the kid in the snow and all that. Like, I think like James Gunn would do a fantastic Swamp Thing, but we'll see. I don't know. I don't know what'll happen, but I would, whatever he does, I just don't want it to be another Batman tied. I don't want it to be Mr. Freeze movie. I don't want it to be any of that type of shit. Just give me Superman, or have him do something, completely cool and off that you wouldn't have expected it to happen, right? So
yeah. So yeah,
anyways,
we'll see. So when Black Adam drops, we got a couple days. Maybe we'll do an emergency meeting and talk about some DC happenings.
All right,
but thank you, Rob. That was a lot of DC content, so we'll see if it all pays off. Anything else you got, or that was it?
I got no. Let's get into our movie of the night. We're already at 9:00 for these for the kids out there.
Yeah. So let's wrap it up. I feel like we don't have a ton to say, but what was the movie we watched this week, Rob? We did it on the replay. We did both see it in theaters.
Doctor Strange.
I
In the
think we
multiverse,
did both.
Which we got twigged on by our good friend and co-host Stu Pei on the Heroes World Psychic Show. He goes, "Why are you guys going back to something that we've already reviewed?" Because we're idiots. I don't know what to tell you. But let's give you the rundown, John, because this is what we don't do on the Heroes World podcast. We don't have a rundown, but guess what? We do it right here. Why? Because we love each and every one of you, and we work hard to get you this content. Really, just copying from Wikipedia. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse.
You don't put your own spin on this.
And the Multiverse of Madness, released May 6th of this year, John. Doc Strange 2, as I'm going to just call it from now on, sees Benedict Cumberbatch back in the role as the master of the mystic arts. Also joining Benny is Benedict Wong as Wong and Rachel McAdams as Christine.
Wongers.
Not joining this trio, though, John, is the director of the first Strange movie, Scott Derrickson, who was replaced by original Spider-Man trilogy and Evil Dead director Sam Raimi. Now, this movie was kind of heralded as Marvel's first foray into scary or the horror movies. But the irony here, John, is that they parted ways with Scott Derrickson, who was known pre-Doc Strange 1 as a horror movie director because of creative differences. Now, Derrickson had gone on record saying he really wanted to take this sequel, in which he came up with Multiverse of Madness. Like, that was his whole thing. He wanted to keep it deep into the gothic and horror elements that we saw in the comics from the 60s and 70s. But alas, it was not to be. He left. Kevin Feige said, "Bye, Scott, sorry," and brought Sam Raimi in to direct this movie, which is chock full of MCU characters, old and new, including Elizabeth Olsen returning as Wanda Maximoff, Chiwetel Ejiofor as Mordo, and of course, lots of fan service of Captain Carter, Black Bolt, Patrick Stewart as Professor X, America Chavez, and of course, John Krasinski as Reed Richards. Off a $200 million budget, the movie brought in $956 million worldwide. Reception was initially mixed when the movie came out, John, but I have to say it has picked up some favorable reviews since it hit Disney Plus back in July. Per Rotten Tomatoes, the current critic score is 74% and the audience score is 85%, which is way higher than it was when this movie dropped back in May. So, John, my question for you is, did you go mad for this trip in the multiverse, or did you find the movie just plain strange?
That was not from Wikipedia, folks. That was a Rob original. Thank you, Rob. That was a hell of a rundown. So you guys in the comments, let us know if you rewatching it, watched it for the first time, if you are feeling this movie or not feeling this movie. Rob, so we watched it in theaters. We probably watched it when it hit digital. And then you probably own a copy, and this will be maybe my third or second and a half time watching it.
Wait, what? For real?
I think I watched it once in theaters. I kind of watched it when it first dropped on digital, and then I just watched it for us here. So I haven't really.
This is only my second time watching this movie.
Okay, so we're probably about equal. I feel like the first time it dropped on digital, I kind of just had it on in the background, and some other people were watching it, and I was just kind of like there. But upon the rewatch, Rob, so missing all the glitz and glamour. So spoilers alerts, folks, if you for some reason have not seen it. All the reveals and stuff like that. Now that I know that they're happening, that part of the movie is really flat to me. So we'll wait, because I think you didn't. I really enjoyed this in theater. So if you go back, watch our full review with Stu on the Heroes World podcast, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a fantastic time. I was on the edge of my seat the whole movie. The jump scares were getting me. All the kind of horror elements were really hitting hard for me. But on the rewatch, that whole stretch with the fan service, I'm sure you're going to get into it, is really flat now. Like when you watch it, you're kind of like, all right, without the kind of surprise reveals, because I didn't know any of them were coming. I saw it right away, so I somehow managed to avoid all the spoilers. You kind of had an idea of what was going to happen, but you didn't know for sure. But yeah, so like, yeah, I would throw it down for, I really liked it originally. And then the second watch, I still liked it. but that stretch with the cameos and stuff, it falls really flat, and towards the end, it's not as strong. The best scene is still the beginning where they're fighting that eyeball squid thing. So overall, I think I wouldn't give it. I forgot what I gave. I probably gave it 10 out of 10, didn't I, Rob? Originally, yeah. So I definitely would drop it down now. Maybe the at-home experience didn't hit as hard, but just some elements. I feel like this happens with almost all horror movies or movies that have reveals and all that kind of stuff. Once you know what's going to happen, it doesn't. The intensity and the mystery is not there. So it'd be like watching Seven for the 8th time. You're like, oh, I know that this guy did this guy did that, whatever, and I know what's in the box at the end. But anyways, Rob,
what's in the box?
What's in the box? So Rob, like you said, you weren't a huge fan of this when it first came out, or as big a fan as me. How are you feeling on the rewatch on your Blu-ray player at home this time?
Oh, John. Yeah, I think I enjoyed it more at home than I did when I saw it.
Look at you, yeah, in the Halloween mood, yeah.
No, you know what? Okay, I still have issues with it. I still am pissed off that they, this is the movie that comes after Spider-Man, No Way Home, where they introduced the multiverse, and then in this movie, just like my initial review of it, John, they fucked it up for whatever this was. There's no tie to that. It irritated me. I still feel that this movie feels like two different types of Sam Raimi movies. Listen, you could tell it's a Sam Raimi movie. First of all, the beginning, the first half, John, is very colorful and poppy. Like it's pop, it brights. The colors just like accentuating everything. Very much like Spider-Man. If you watch Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, and then you were to watch the first half of this movie, the similarities in shooting style, camera angles, and everything else is just unbelievable. The second half of the movie, though, is derived from his horror roots. You can watch the Evil Dead trilogy. You could even go back to Drag Me to Hell, which is what we saw last year, John. If you watch Drag Me to Hell and then watch the second part of this movie, you're like, holy crap, it's the exact same stuff, including like the camera. The camera to angling, hitting the doors, and doing all that stuff. Like, it's typical Sam Raimi, but it's two types of Sam Raimi directing this movie. And as the sum of its parts, they don't gel cohesively. Like, it's very hard to a director can obviously walk between all different worlds, whether you're comedy, drama, horror, action, or whatever. If you have you can do it, and you maybe kind of riff a little bit on yourself. But this movie is like, the superhero elements are very, very much enriched in his Spider-Man superhero elements, which are themselves kind of void of his horror stuff, except for that he loves that Dutch rudder something, the Dutch angle. Dutch rudder something different, everybody.
Dutch rudder, folks. Don't look it up online.
We're not going to get that. He loves maybe he does love a Dutch rudder. I don't know. But he loves his Dutch angles. So he does use that in a lot of his Spider-Man movies as well. But it's tonally, there are two separate movies kind of pushed together using 3M tape in the middle. And so that's always I really noticed it when I was at home. You're right. The surprise guest appearances do not hold the same weight whatsoever. Now, for me, it's only my second time watching it, so I still kind of enjoyed seeing it. But I didn't have the same excitement and surprise factor. But I did like the scary elements of this movie work really well.
The full out horror, the Sam Raimi horror elements, I think really hit hard. So if you were able to take out the fan service or cut it shorter and fit in more horror elements, I think I would enjoy this movie a lot more.
It kind of upsets me because Scott Derrickson, I think, would have done, and with all due respect to Sam Raimi, Scott Derrickson, I think, would have done a fantastic, proper horror movie with Doctor Strange. I think we would have had something vastly different. Still with the multiverse element. I don't know if Scarlet Witch would have been central to it. I have no idea. We'll never know. We don't know. That script is out there. It's locked away. But I really would have liked to have seen it because Scott Derrickson just did Black Phone this past summer, which, I saw it and I told you guys, it definitely has moments of terror in it, but it's not like a Michael Myers scary movie. Halloween Ends notwithstanding. So I would have loved to have seen his take. I think he did a fantastic job with Doctor Strange. And so I really wanted to see his take. And I kind of feel like I just would prefer to see that. But this is what we have. And admittedly, John, I'll probably go back and rewatch. I thought after the first time, I was like, this is shit. I'll probably watch it once more. That's about it. I would probably throw this one back on again. I might fast forward through some of that stuff because it does kind of drag a little bit in the middle. But there's a lot of it that I'd be like, I would probably be down to watch some of these parts again.
I think problem with it originally when you saw it probably was it was sold as something else. It was sold as like, this is the next big Marvel thing, and it is just a Doctor Strange movie that has a couple cameos in it. So I think people had different expectations from this movie. But as a horror movie, I still do quite like it. I feel like I would rather watch like Fraser mentioned Evil Dead 1 and 2. Like, would you watch any of his other movies over this one, or do you think this is one of his funnest or most rewatchable movies? Like, would you go back and watch an Evil Dead 2 before you fire this one up again?
Yeah, I guess so. But see, it's so funny because I don't like, this time of year, I like to watch kind of horror movies. I don't remember the last time I went back and saw one of his movies like for like this season. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
it was last year. It was Drag Me to Hell.
Okay, fair enough. But I mean, like I feel like Army of Darkness. Like I said, the Evil Dead trilogy. Fraser said, anything horror is just Evil Dead 1 and 2. Right? Army of Darkness is the third one, but it's not scary. It's more campy. Like you can watch it any time of the year. I guess I'd probably go back and watch Evil Dead 1 and 2 again. But he's come so far from those movies to where he is now. Yeah, Drag Me to Hell. I still really like that movie. So yeah, I don't know. Whatever your question was, sure.
You might fire something else up before returning to Doctor Strange of Raimi's or whatever.
I will say though, I thought Elizabeth Olsen
is not his best movie, you would think?
No, not his best movie. But I would say I thought Elizabeth Olsen was better than I remembered her being.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, if she was going to be always in this movie, I wanted her then to be pure evil villainous. And that's I felt like you got to commit. You're either going to be pure superhero, goody two-shoe Spider-Man, or you're going to be horror. It's almost impossible to do both well and integrated. And it wasn't integrated, John. It was just two pieces put together. And you got to either integrate it or commit to one side. And I wish they committed to the. And I actually wonder, John, post Werewolf by Night, if Kevin Feige would have said, you know what, if we were doing Doctor Strange now, we would go all in on the horror element as opposed to like 3 years ago when they were really kind of in production, right? So,
yeah. Elizabeth Olsen, you're right, is actually fantastic, especially in the later half of the movie, which I do find a little bit more flat. But she is great in it when she's basically just chasing them around and she gets the jump scares and stuff like that. That was a really good performance that I would watch. I would watch this again to see kind of her do her thing. In this, so let me see. Do we have anything else about this? So this was all part of Marvel's Phase 4, right, Rob? Am I in the right phase? I always freaking lose track of these goddamn.
Yeah, this is part of the Phase 4.
Yeah. So Phase 4.
Phase 4 was really called Phase Bore.
So Phase 4 has been met with some very mixed things. So now that we're on the rewatch of some of these, and I feel like we rewatched a good chunk of them, except for maybe Thor. Where do you think this sits in your Phase 4 Marvel movies? I know you just rewatched Eternals recently as well, so you're probably most up to date on all of these movies, actually.
I don't even know how to do a ranking of them anymore.
Yeah. I would still, I
still put this well above Black Widow.
Yeah, Black Widow, unfortunately, it's going to end up near the bottom. I still think Shang-Chi is probably the top for me. Upon every rewatch, for some reason, I just seem to like it a little bit more. But I feel like,
do you include Spider-Man No Way Home in there?
Not really. I feel like it's not really Phase 4.
Okay.
I feel like it was like a late to the party end of Phase 3, but you guys, you can debate me on that if you want. But I feel like this movie is probably a close. I feel like it is second probably, because I wouldn't put Thor: Love and Thunder that high. I wouldn't put Eternals that high. What else do we have? Is that all we have?
I'm just bringing it up. So we had
Shang-Chi.
Black Widow, Shang-Chi,
Yeah.
Eternals. Technically, Spider-Man is Doc Strange and Thor: Love and Thunder, and then Wakanda Forever is supposed to be the final chapter. However, I actually believe that they've changed that and said Ant-Man and the Wasp coming out in February will be the final Phase 4 movie. Somebody could probably correct me, but I'm pretty sure that they announced at San Diego Comic-Con that Ant-Man and the Wasp is the final part of Phase 4.
Yeah, the conclusion of Phase 4, which Michelle does make a good point. I feel like they're not as tied together as the other phases were. So we probably won't see that stitching together of all the movies until like Phase 5, right before those big movies at the end. So yeah, Nerd Emperor says Multiverse of Madness is very rewatchable. Yes, so shout outs to him. Like I said, I do enjoy its horror elements. I just felt that I didn't enjoy it as much as I did when I didn't know those reveals are coming.
Yeah,
but it's still I think I would put it second. And until we see the new stuff that comes out. Lewis says face, who the hell knows? But yeah, any other thoughts on Doctor Strange here?
No, I was actually I was just more surprised. I actually enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
This time than I did. Then I was surprised at how much. I put it on Saturday. I'm not gonna lie, John. I was really tired on Saturday. I had all intention. I haven't slept well in the last few days. I had all intention to just kind of nap out, and I ended up watching the whole damn thing. So as somebody who's worked at the video store, you would understand if you did the closing shift, you would go home, you'd maybe grab a bite to eat, you go home and put on a movie. And if you were able to sit up and watch that entire movie until 3 or 4 in the morning, you knew that movie was solid. If you were starting to pass out at like 1:30 or so, you were like, that movie's not that great.
Yeah, and that was the era before Wikipedia, before you could just look up what the ending was. You actually had to tough it out and watch that.
Yeah,
the entire thing.
So I'm on my nap scale. It rated very, very high because I did not sleep. So I was very surprised.
Okay, my last question about it then, Rob. Would you want to see a sequel to this or a follow-up in this genre? Like, would you want to see another movie done in this style? It doesn't necessarily have to be Doctor Strange, but do you like Marvel going into this?
I do because I think because I think when we talked about this a lot in the past is that Marvel needs to, I like the fact that they're diversifying their tone of projects, as evidenced by She-Hulk, as evidenced by Ms. Marvel, Werewolf by Night. I like that they're expanding out with these different type of genres, or even WandaVision, some would say. And so I would totally be up for Doctor Strange 3, but to really go deep and hard, John, into the horror and psychedelic.
Into the horror genre, not a different genre.
Right. No ruddering on this Dutch.
Yeah, I would be down. Like I said, I despite I did bash it kind of a little bit on the second viewing, I still had a fantastic time in the theaters, and I would like to see another one in this style at least. So yeah, so cool. Shout out to that. We'll close the book on Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness 2. I don't think a 2 goes in there anyway, but Doctor Strange 2, closing the book on it for now. We'll revisit it again in a couple of years.
Wait, is it a horror movie? Is it a Halloween movie, John, or is it an any time of year movie?
I think you can watch this any time of the year, and it just has
we have completely failed by selecting this. And
it has to be just nighttime. I think WandaVision had more of a spin into the Halloween because they actually were out at Halloween. So I don't know if they could have tied actual Halloween into this at some point, but this is just a scary movie. Scary movies, we've already stated, do shine more when you watch them in October feels and at night and in the dark and all these kind of extra elements that make it extra fun. But yeah, I wouldn't say this has to be. You could watch it. I feel like I could watch this at Christmas time. It would be perfectly fine.
Okay.
So Christmas movie this year, folks. Multiverse of Madness. But moving on from that, thank you everybody for sticking with us. Thank you for talking about Doctor Strange. Thank you for running it back or watching it for the first time or whatever, or sharing your thoughts with us about it. But we are going to talk about what's coming up next week, the next movie in our line of our October Spectacular. Sorry, I keep forgetting what we called it.
Yeah, our October Spectacular. We're actually running down. This is we only have 2 movies left, John. And next week we are revisiting last year's Ghostbusters Afterlife. Jason Reitman taken over the directing duties from his father, Ivan Reitman, as seen in this photo here, with Finn Wolfhard, Carrie Coon, and I don't know the little girl's name. Sorry. But this is currently streaming on Amazon Prime. If you haven't had an opportunity to check it out, I would highly recommend you do so. Yes, I think we did a review last year of it, John, and that, again, Stu's upset that we're redoing this. But as Halloween, what the hell?
It flew under the radar because this was still around the time when people weren't going to. Not everyone was going back out to the theaters.
Yeah, it was November of last year.
Yeah, we did drop it, and a lot of people, I felt, didn't see this till much later.
Yeah,
and would be like, "Hey, yeah, are you guys doing Ghostbusters?" Like, we did it the week that it came out.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can go back and watch a review on that. It's on the Heroes of Podcast on our feed, but we will be wanting to talk to you guys about it next week on Monday, 8:50.
I'm actually excited. I haven't seen it since I saw it in the theaters. I'm actually really excited to rewatch this again.
Yeah. Like this movie, like I always made the joke, it punches you right in the heart. Some really kind of emotional moments, especially towards the end. So I look forward to seeing what it's like on the second run. And it does feature a lot of kids in the movie, which sometimes can be annoying. Some people say, some people are like, "Oh man, they brought in all these kids and they're annoying." But I remember they did a really good job the first time I watched it. So I'm wondering if on the rewatch, maybe I don't kind of fall in love with them as much. But I do look forward to seeing if they have a sequel for it coming out and seeing these kids return. So Ghostbusters, Lewis Law, you should rewatch Ghostbusters 1, 2, and then Afterlife. I don't know if 2 is as strong if we would put it on a rewatch list, but definitely listen to the Bobby Brown on our own music video to relive Ghostbusters 2.
Okay. But yeah, that's gonna be next week, Monday night, 8:15 p.m. live right here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. If you happen to listen to this episode through your iTunes, Spotify, whatever, hey, come and join us live as we talk about this stuff. Nope, Michelle, we are not going to do Howard the Duck as well. So that's it for us.
I think there is some director's cut for Howard the Duck that we probably should explore. No,
you are more than welcome to during the time of December the 19th until January something or other. But I think that's it for us, John. Unless you have anything else to say, I think we're done.
I think we're good. We've kept y'all long enough. And I think that's all we got for you. So
tune in. Hell of a show.
Yeah. Tune in next week. And then all our upcoming movies are here. So thank you everybody for following us.
Yeah, and just don't forget before we go. Sorry, as you saw, you can see on the screen, October 30th, the final movie. It's a Sunday. It's a special Sidekick Show Sunday movie show because it's Halloween and we're gonna go trick or treating with kids or steal candy from kids or terrorize kids or something like that. So
or trick or treating under the guise of kids. No,
right? Yes. So just keep that in your calendar. We're not here on the 31st, the Monday. We're going to do it the day before.
Yeah. All right. So happy Halloween, folks. We'll see you next time.
That's it.